Welcome to today's episode of Making the Past Present. Today we will be making something called a pretty dish of eggs from the English Art of Cookery by Richard Briggs. Today we are going to be making something called a pretty dish of fine eggs. What is that, you may say? Well, it is basically you take a hard-boiled egg, you slice it, you fry it, and put a lemon sauce on top. I know it sounds really weird. I made it with a friend and I kind of was like, no, you can try it first because if it doesn't work, then I'm not the one suffering. It was actually very good. So let's start with your eggs. You can go to the store, buy whatever kind of eggs you want, or I would highly suggest going to your local farmer and talking to him about getting eggs. This is also, if you are that said local farmer and you have a lot of eggs, one of the great ways to get rid of them very quickly. So there are all kinds of ways out there to do hard-boiled eggs. Some of them are you bring the water to a boil, drop your eggs in, turn them off, put a lid on, let them sit for so long, then drop them here. Too many ways, and I've never got any of them to work, except for this way. Take your egg, you get a pot of water boiling. As soon as your water comes to a boil, gently place your eggs into the boiling water. However many you want to do, but do not go over a dozen because then they get kind of weird. Put your eggs in the boiling water. 12 minutes. Pull them out of the water, put them in a bowl. You can drop them in cold water, you can drop them in ice water, or you can just let them sit until they are able to be handled. Done. I have yet to have it go wrong. They are cooked nicely all the way through, slightly soft in the center, but not too bad, not that really gross, runny, kind of soft on the inside. But they're perfect, and usually, not always, but most of the time, I can avoid that weird gray circle around the yolk. So, bring your water to a boil, drop your eggs in for 12 minutes. Your eggs have finished boiling, and you can now touch them, hold them. Mine are cold. Peel them, and then to finish the pretty dish of eggs, you want to slice them what you feel comfortable slicing. So I'm going to slice mine like this. You want to try to be very careful not to break them or have your yolk pop out like mine just did. But it happens, no big deal. Then you want to get your spider ready like you would for any other dish with a pile of coals underneath it. Put a nice piece of butter in it and let it melt. Because up next is you fry your hard-boiled eggs. So while it starts to melt, I'm going to put most of my eggs in. The recipe says to cook them no more than 7 minutes total. So I'm going to be very careful and cook them quick. I did 5 eggs. You can probably, if you have a large skillet, fit most of those 5 eggs in. You also don't want to crowd the pan where you can't flip them. And it says to sprinkle with a little bit of salt. And then nutmeg, I'm going to use spice bush berries because I like that better. Then you let them fry for a couple of minutes. So to finish off the sauce for the eggs, I have finished frying the eggs. It calls for a shallot. I'm doubling the sauce recipe too, by the way. So I have 4 tablespoons of butter melting in my pan. It calls for half a lemon. Now I'm going to use the juice of a whole lemon, but here's the thing. In order to get all the juice out, you want to roll your lemon quite a bit until it gets real soft, and then you'll get a lot of juice. But what you also want to do, maybe if my knife will cut, there we go, is once you've got all the lemon juice out of it, save the rinds. Because what you can do is you can put them in, say, chicken stock. If you like to make your own chicken stock, it adds great flavor. If it's really hot at a camp, throw it in a pitcher full of water and it adds a nice lemon flavor. It's really good, so keep it. So what we're going to do next is throw the shallots into the hot butter. Well, not throw, but give them a minute or 2 to cook. Because they soften up really quickly. flour to make it thick. So I'm just gonna grab what looks like a little bit, but I think I might give it a little bit more. Use the cup. Because you want to make a semi-thick gravy, not very thick, but a little bit. And I'm gonna get that all mixed in. There we go. That's good. Now I'm gonna put the lemon juice in. Try not to get any seeds in. And then it calls for a gill of sack, which is a type of alcohol, but I am not going to do that. Instead, I am actually going to use some beef stock. And so a gill is about a half a cup. So I'm going to put a cup's worth in. You can always add more if you need to loosen up the gravy or make more gravy. Give it a few minutes to thicken. Then I have to add just a little bit more flour. Give it a couple minutes. Because you don't want the gravy too thick, but you also don't want it too thin. It's finding that happy medium in between. And I'm going to say it's pretty close to that. I'm going to call it done. Grab my eggs. You might find that you don't need all of the gravy that you make, and that's fine. Save it, put it in a container, and you can use it on another dish later. I'm going to say that looks good. And there you go. A pretty dish of eggs. Thank you for coming to this adventure of making past present. I hope to see you again soon. Safe travels.